There is a specific kind of modern tragedy that happens when you perfectly execute a task that shouldn't be done at all. Management theorist Peter Drucker observed this phenomenon decades ago. He realized that in a knowledge economy, raw competence without clear direction is an absolute liability. Efficiency is useless if you are running in the wrong direction. The greatest threat to a modern professional is the flawless execution of a terrible plan. Imagine a highly successful 45-year-old executive. They have done everything right, climbed the ranks for 2 decades, and suddenly they hit a wall of profound burnout and failure. Now zoom out. Picture an invincible billion-dollar corporate titan. For decades, they print money and dominate their industry. Then, in the span of just a few years, they hemorrhage cash and face total collapse. These two scenarios share the exact same fatal flaw. Both the burned-out executive and the dying corporate empire are running on an outdated operating system. Whether you are a single person or General Motors, your survival is dictated by a hidden set of foundational assumptions. When those assumptions stop matching reality, the system crashes. In the modern economy, companies no longer manage their employees' careers. You are forced to act as the CEO of your own life. Drucker argued that the only empirical tool to discover your actual strengths is something called feedback analysis. Every time you make a key decision, you write down what you expect will happen. 9 to 12 months later, you track that expected outcome against the actual reality. This process reveals hard truths about your working style. For instance, people almost always process information in one of 2 ways. They are either readers or they are listeners. Working against your natural processing style leads directly to failure. Take President Dwight Eisenhower. As a general, he was a brilliant reader. His aides wrote out every press question in advance, allowing him to deliver perfectly crafted responses. But as president, he tried to be a listener by holding free-flowing press conferences. He fumbled answers, rambled, and became an object of ridicule. His successor, Lyndon B. Johnson, suffered the inverse problem. LBJ was a master listener who absorbed information through conversation, but he tried to run his presidency by reading complex written memos crafted by his aides. He couldn't process the information effectively, and his administration suffered. You cannot fake your structural nature. Forcing yourself to operate against it guarantees friction, inefficiency, and eventual career failure. This requirement for absolute self-awareness scales up. Drucker applied these same principles to billion-dollar corporations through what he called the theory of the business. This theory rests on 3 pillars: your assumptions about the market, your assumptions about your mission, and your assumptions about your core competencies. For 70 years, General Motors dominated the automotive industry because their foundation was perfectly aligned with reality. They matched mass production with income-based market segmentation, and the resulting profits were massive. But by the late 1970s, the market shifted toward lifestyle segmentation and agile manufacturing. GM's leadership refused to adapt. They blindly clung to the old theory crafted by Alfred P. Sloan decades prior, pouring billions into automating a mass production system the market no longer wanted. IBM fell into a similar trap. In the 1970s, their entire theory rested on the belief that centralized mainframes were the definitive future of computing. Information meant memory, and memory required massive hardware. When the personal computer arrived, IBM was nearly destroyed. Their internal theory couldn't process a small, standalone machine as a valid competitor. Corporate empires rarely collapse from laziness or arrogance. They collapse because their internal assumptions drift away from the external world. Markets, technology, and society are in a constant state of flux. Because of this, any valid theory of the business or any personal operating system will eventually become obsolete. Humanity's default reaction to an outdated theory is defensive. We patch the cracks, double down on old habits, and ignore the shifting ground. Long-term survival requires something much harder. You must conduct a ruthless, continuous audit of your foundational assumptions, especially when things are going well. For the individual, this means aggressively planning your second act. You have to map out a parallel career or a new challenge while you are still climbing, long before your primary career peaks. For an organization, it means finding the courage to tear down and rebuild your most successful business models while they are still highly profitable. True management, whether you are running a multinational conglomerate or plotting your own career, demands profound self-awareness. It is the ability to occasionally stop climbing, look around, and ensure your ladder is still leaning against the right wall.